Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you how I made this fun little birthday card using the Piece of Cake photopolymer stamp set from the 2019 Occasions catalog. I'm going to be using the Piece of Cake stamp set and punch for this, so let me set the card aside and we'll get started. I am going to stamp the image of the cake stand here on the bottom, and I'm simply doing this for placement and because I'm going to layer a second cake and stand on top of this. It's just really a guideline. So the cake and then the candles. There we go. And then I'm going to stamp a second cake that I am going to punch out. Okay, I'm using both stamps on one block, and you can see my companion video to see how I did that. And I'm going to stamp that here. And then I'm going to color it. I'm going to use my berry burst here for the can. And I'm using the fine tip end because it gives me a little more control. And the stripes also on the cake. For this I'm using the flare tip end. A very light touch. And then also for the polka dots. And I'm going to do the cake stand here on the bottom. And of course I'm doing this quickly, so you can clean up the coloring a little bit with the fine tip if you're showing some white spots. And then I'm going to use my lemon lime twist, and I am going to color the band here across the bottom of the cakes. And I am going to color in this cake stand. And once again, light touch allows you to move quickly and not damage your tips. There we go. And then for the candles on the cake, I've used this pineapple punch because it's nice bright yellow. There we go. So now I'm ready to punch out my cake. And I can simply slide it into my punch here, line it up, and punch. And I am going to add some dimensionals on the back of this. You'll want to be using your mini dimensionals because they are smaller and you don't have to worry about cutting them down or anything. And I'm going to set that aside for a few minutes while I work on the next step. So the next step is going to be to punch your sentiment. I'm going to use the triple banner punch and slide it in here and punch. And then I'm going to use my memento again and turn it the right way, of course. I'm using my grid paper to kind of eyeball where I'm going. And I'm going to stamp happy birthday on here. There we go. Once I've got my parts all ready, I'm ready to start assembling. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my Berry Burst Designer Series paper and I'm going to add it to the bottom of a Berry Burst piece of cardstock. Just lining up the edges here. And then I'm going to take my detailed trio punch and I'm looking for this rounded corner. And I'm going to take just one side and punch the two corners, top and bottom. And this is the left side so that it is where it needs to be. Okay, I am going to add some adhesive to the back of my piece here, and I'm going to fold my card base, and I am going to add this about a ½ inch down from the top, lining up the right edge here so it's nice and straight. And then I'm going to take about a 12 to 14 inch piece of baker's twine, and I'm going to start by wrapping it around the card front twice. And I like this style card front because it's very forgiving. It is the cardstock cut the long way, and because of that I can move my ribbon where I want it after I've tied it. So I don't have to worry about the placement so much. So I've got my ribbon done here and I can cut the ends. And then I can move this simply by bowing up the paper here and moving it to about the halfway point. There we go. And I can fix it the way I want to. And then I'm going to add the sentiment. So I'm going to add this so that it sticks off this line here of Designer Series paper and goes over the edge. Now this is cut a little bit long, and that's okay because the design of the cardstock base, I can trim it. So I'm going to add a little adhesive here and a little on the other piece where I know it's going to adhere, and that allows this to stay adhesive free so that when I cut it, it will be clean for my scissors. And then see, I can just take my scissors and trim. Oops, let's make sure that's nice and tight. And then trim. And I've got that nice clean edge. Okay, at this point I'm ready to add my cake to it. And I made a boo-boo. I have the ribbon or the baker's twine going over top of the cake image, and so I want to slide this underneath carefully without getting adhesive all over my card front and adhere that down. And now I'm ready to add these pieces that we colored earlier to the focal point. So, cake stand. Cake right on top. There we go. And we have a finished card. So let me show you the original again. If you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, stampwithjinny.com. And if you don't already have a demonstrator and would like a 2019 Occasions catalog, email me your name, address, and phone number, and I'll be happy to mail you one. Thanks for joining me.